Hey, welcome back to Naval News with Subbrief. We have some additional information from the EA-18G that crashed near Mount Reiner and the aviators that were on board. The one Evans, who was the pilot, joined the Navy all the way back in 2010 and became a pilot and was part of the flyover crew that was all female for the number 57 Super Bowl just recently here. And in the backseat, Willman joined in 2018 and then joined or became part of the Electronic Attack Squadron VAQ-130. And those operate out of Whidbey Island up there in the state of Washington. And something that I wish I'd put in the first video we talked about this is we want to give credit to the Special Forces at Joint Base Lewis McChord that are nearby. They participated in the search, rescue, and recovery efforts that took place after this aviation incident that took the lives of these two pilots. So big credit to them for participating in that. And this is just some more information for you about the pilots and some of the contributions, where they came from, and some of the history of them, besides what we put out in the first video, where they served with distinction in the Red Sea, operating against the Houthi threat there, protecting fleets and shipping in that area, operating on board the Ike and whatnot. So this was talked about a lot. I think you guys wanted more information on this. So I dug a little bit deeper and I found a few more facts for you. And so again, big credit to the Special Forces at Joint Base Lewis McChord. I didn't know that they had anything to do with the search and recovery efforts. And so credit to them for doing that. Well done. Now let's take a look at what else is going on in the West Pacific right now. On Monday, this is, by the time you see this, going to be a week old now. Some 3,000 Philippine personnel, mostly from the Philippine Army, Air Force, and Navy, kicked off this year's iteration of the Joint Dagat-Langat-Lupa exercise. And during this exercise, they practiced retaking and storming the beaches of small islands and atolls near the Philippines. Here's a picture of this most recent exercise here with the Philippine support ship in frame. The Philippine Air Force supported the landings by dropping logistical support on the beach for the troops whenever they got ashore here. So this exercise really, to me, is a clear signal to the PRC that the Philippines are ready for action. They're practicing countering the moves that the PRC have been taking for over a decade now. And it seems like resistance, should it become necessary, will be provided by the Philippine Army, Navy, and Air Force. And supporting them is the Philippine ships, like this is the BRP Jose Rizal, which is the lead ship in a new class of guided missile frigates being built in South Korea for the Philippines. And so with this type of support around the landing units and support ships for the landing units, these ships can provide air cover to prevent air attacks, as well as anti-ship warfare with their surface-to-surface missiles. That is probably the Harpoon, but could not confirm that. They may have another version, or maybe a South Korean version of a subsonic anti-ship missile. But they do have, air defense capability with their VLS. They have anti-ship capability. They have a great sonar system from South Korea and 6 torpedo tubes on board to shoot torpedoes, in addition to their helicopter that can provide surveillance, logistical support, and ASW warfare. And they have a wide range of guns on board. They have a mounted 76 millimeter gun with 30 millimeter support guns, port and starboard, and some 12.7 millimeter for small gun activity, should they need to go against small boats or something like that. So this is a very heavily gunned frigate, a lot of weapons for its size and displacement. And so the Philippine Navy is really upgunning their naval capability, and it shows now. They're practicing landings with supporting operations and with ships like this. And while all of that has been going on, they haven't been doing it alone. The operations were observed by the U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. Marine Corps, who were probably associated or on board the USS Boxer LHD-4 because she was in theater during the time of this exercise. So the operations were just observed by them, which means they were there, on board, probably on the beach as well, but not actually participating in the landings themselves. But if I know the Marine Corps, they probably were on the boats going ashore and storming the beaches right alongside with them. But officially, they were just there as observers. But credit to the Coast Guard and the Marine Corps for helping assist, observe, and provide feedback for beach storming operations by the Philippines. Well done. Let's take a look at the bigger picture here for the whole world. We have the USS Boxer, as I mentioned, in the West Pacific, going back and forth between Guam and the Philippines. USS George Washington is still transiting to Japan. That's going to be her new home port for many years to come. Already there and forward deployed in her home port is the America Amphibious Ready Group. They're in port right now. But as you can see, we have a significant presence again in the Western Pacific, and that's looking to not change anytime soon. With the strengthening of the Philippines and their Navy, that's great news for us as well. And I'm sure that our guys are more than happy to support them in developing their skill set in retaking islands should they need to. If we move to the Indian Ocean, specifically the Arabian Sea, we have the Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group continues to operate near Saudi Arabian Peninsula and Iran. Keep an eye on things that are going on over there. It's a very hot conflict between Israel, the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Iran and their proxies. Still in a very active war. On the Mediterranean side of the same theater and same conflict is the American WASP ARG. And so they're keeping an eye on that side. It's not clear what they're supporting or what they're doing. That's all, kept hush-hush and not public at this time. Just know that we have fleets of different capabilities on both sides of that theater conflict right now. Up in Norway, Harry S. Truman's doing a port visit, which I'm sure is great. Norway was my first port visit back in the day. Beautiful country, great people. Food's pretty good too. Beer's not bad. So I'm sure all the crew on board the Truman Carrier Strike Group and the supporting vessels that go with them are having a great time right now. And let's move over we have the Gerald R. Ford off the East Coast, getting ready for operations. The Ronald Reagan is doing the same thing over on the San Diego West Coast side, but there's a twist with the Ronald Reagan. She is also there with the Japanese carrier. That's right, Japanese carrier now, Kaga. So let's take a look at this. The Kaga is the second of two Japanese carriers to complete its onboard trials. These are ship and training upgrades that happen to what were helicopter carriers to now make them aircraft carriers operating the F-35 aircraft off these decks now. This is a significant increase in capability, transiting from a helicopter carrier and those types of operations, which are primarily ASW in nature, to an F-35 aircraft carrier that can project, power over distance, air-to-air combat, and they can still support the ASW mission should they choose to, but now they have much more capability and options. So both the Azumo, and the Kaga have completed their initial first stage conversions now, because Azumo did hers all the way back in 2021. Now, the Azumo will begin the second stage either late this year of her conversion or early next year will be converted. And then they will be full-on aircraft carriers officially. So these carriers together, when they're done, will be parity or maybe even better, in my opinion, than the Chinese Liaoning and Shandong carriers that recently operated at sea near Taiwan in dual carrier operations. So here's the picture from those operations, one of a couple that we had for you in a previous video. The Japanese carriers, now that they've upgraded to the F-35, can operate more sorties and project much more firepower in both air-to-air and other support operations than both of these old carriers that are based on the Russian Kuznetsov design. The Liaoning, like I said, is basically a training carrier. The Shandong is very similar in capability, although she is more recently built as of 2012. She shares a lot of the same limitations that the Liaoning does. So it is pretty impressive to me that after 3 years of ship upgrades and training, the Japanese Navy has upgraded their helicopter fleets to carriers that can match or even exceed the firepower of this fleet right here. So great allies to have, with Japan upgunning, Philippines increasing their ability at sea with brand new warships that have all the modern equipment and the ability to protect island hopping operations, beach storming operations. Given the support of both the U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. Marine Corps, things are moving along quickly in our favor in theater over in the Western Pacific. So I'm very happy for everybody, and thanks a lot for subscribing. We will see you next time. Have a great one, everybody. Bye.